Hey guys, Keith here, Vintage Dad. Hey, what's one of the worst things you can do? Well, there's a lot of bad things you can do. You can rob a bank, cheat on your wife. There's just a long list of things that you can do that's bad, right? But most of us are, pretty good people, and we don't doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. Don't It doesn't mean that we don't hurt people or hurt ourselves even, and do things wrong, make mistakes, and that kind of thing. But um, I think one of the things that I've noticed, I'm going to change this camera view. I don't know why. I don't like that. There we go. One of the things that I think that it can be detrimental to us or really kind of mess us up, and it's something I've done here recently, and that's break our routine. And I don't mean break, if you got a bad routine, it needs breaking, right? But if you got a good routine where you're exercising, you're eating right, you're reading, good material, you're watching vintage dad videos, good things like that. You know what I'm saying? No, but you're watching some good inspirational videos, whatever it is that you're doing that helps you. Whatever your routine might be during the day. Maybe you're getting out and walking each day, getting outside, and breaking that routine can really, cause you some. I say cause you some issues. It, it can really. I think it's not that you can't get back on it. Let me just say that. I started saying it can be detrimental. It's not detrimental like it's the end of you. Okay, but uh, if you've got a good routine going, stick with it. Okay, because if you get off that routine, and it's easy to do, you know, that's why New Year's resolutions don't typically work very well because people, have good intentions. They make promises to themselves, to other people. Hey, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to start this, that kind of thing, and then they fail. They quit doing what they say they were going to do, and then they start doing what they say they weren't going to do. And so a lot of times New Year's resolutions, last a few days, a few hours, sometimes, maybe a few weeks, but then you break that routine. So it's easy to break that good routine and then get off of that, and it can just mess you up emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and then of course physically. Okay, so let's say you're on a good uh, exercise routine, and it doesn't mean that you have to be on this big exercise program where you're trying to, you're not trying to, compete in a decathlon or the Olympics or anything like that. But you, you've you're just on a good 10-minute a day, 20-minute a day exercise routine, and then something happens and you get off that routine, and it's real hard to get back into that routine. They say that if you do something for 21 days, you kind of create a habit. I don't know how true that is, but I could see where it would be. The longer you do something, if you do something every day, it's going to be easier to stay in that habit or that routine, where because you're going to remember it. Basically, that's the biggest thing, and you're gonna feel like, hey, I need to do this. I need to do this. I want to do this. This is good for me, right? We don't have any problem remembering bad habits, but the good habits sometimes, if we get off track, it's easy to, you know, to stay off track, really. And so if we're in a good exercise routine, and I think 10 minutes. You don't, like I say, you don't have to exercise an hour a day, 30 minutes a day. You can do 10 minutes a day. Nothing wrong with 30 minutes a day, nothing wrong with an hour a day. But I'm just saying sometimes if you do too much, you can go, oh, I got an hour a day. I got an hour to work out today. I don't have time for that. And so it's easy to push that aside, like today is just not the day for that. And there's days we don't have time maybe for something like that. And but then the next day something else happens. Next day, and then the next thing you know, you've gotten out of that routine. You've gotten out of that habit. Um, 10 minutes a day, even then, you can get out of it. You know, you can be on vacation or whatever. Just things happen. You're really tired tonight. I don't feel like exercise tonight, or maybe in the morning. I don't feel like getting up early. I didn't sleep good. I need 10 more minutes of sleep instead of 10 minutes of exercise. And so we make excuses, and then the next thing we're not flossing anymore. We're not, we're not exercising anymore. I use flossing because I have a little trouble with keeping on that routine. And I'd gotten on, the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm always kind of preaching to myself, is I'd gotten on a good routine of flossing, and of course I brush every night usually, and I was reading every night, just even if I just read a short, couple of pages or a chapter of a book, anyway, things like that. I'd gotten into a pretty good routine, and I don't know what happened really. Just one night I wasn't in the mood. I was like tired, it was late, and I'm like, I'm gonna skip it tonight. And then guess what happens? You skip it tomorrow night too. So one of the worst things I believe that you can do is to get out of your good routine, because it's so hard to get back into the good routine. Maybe you've been journaling every night, and you skip it a night, and then the next night you skip it, and you go, well, it's no big deal. And the next thing you know, you haven't done it in a while. So whether it's reading, whether it's prayer, whether it's brushing, flossing, exercising, eating well. Maybe you've been on a good eating schedule, and you've been eating the right foods, and you've been losing weight, or you've just been feeling better even. And then all of a sudden something happens. You either have a bad day, you're tired, there's a distraction. Something happens to where you get off of that schedule, and then next thing you know, guess what? You realize 3 weeks have went by. I haven't read anything. I haven't exercised. Because a lot of my routines that I do like that are at night. I mean, obviously, eating right should be throughout the day, but exercising I usually do at night, reading, that kind of thing. And so it's easy to, you get to a certain time of the night and you're like, I'm really tired tonight. I don't feel like doing that. And then you get out of that habit. So I encourage you to if you're in a routine, even if you're on vacation and you exercise daily, just because you're on vacation, don't stop exercising. Again, you don't have to take an hour a day to exercise, especially if you're on vacation. Take a few minutes. Do a little something. Push-ups, sit-ups, just do some calisthenics. Do something, I've got some of those rubber band things, and as I've got shoulder surgery coming up, I'm trying to, strengthen that. So I've got some of those bands that I use. And just doing something, some squats or whatever, doing something. It doesn't take just a few minutes, even if you do just 5 minutes even of something, and stay on that routine. Same way with reading. Even if you're on vacation, well, take you a book, read a devotion, read something short. You don't have to read 3 chapters a night, but read something to keep your mind active, to keep your, keep your brain thinking and learning new things. Exercise to keep your body in good shape and toned. And even though you're maybe not doing really hard exercise like you might do at home if you're on vacation, but doing something, So getting out of that routine, whatever it may be, like I say, if you're flossing every night, you're gonna want to floss every night. But if you miss a night, then guess what? The next night you're like, I missed last night. It's not gonna hurt to miss. And then the next thing you know, you forget that you're supposed to floss. That's what I do. Maybe you don't do that, but I do that. If I miss a night or two on a good routine that I've had, then I forget to do it. Another good thing is just write things down. Keep a list of your good routines, and then check those off each day, and then you won't forget them. And so no matter what you're doing, just work those in. Don't do it as a chore, but like, man, this is really good for me. Reading's good for me. Exercise is good for me. Eating right's good for me. And again, don't mean you can't have a cheat day and have a cheeseburger, but you don't want to do that every day, right? Once you get off that schedule, it can really mess you up. So anyway, whatever schedule you're on, let me know about your schedules. I'm curious about what some of the good routines that you do each day, whether it be getting outside and walking, doing some gardening, or maybe weeding the garden, whatever it is that makes you feel good. Because what makes you feel good may be work to me. You know what I mean? Weeding the garden I wouldn't want to do, but that might be therapy for you. I used to love to cut brush and to burn a brush pile. That was therapy for me at one time. And so it just depends on what it is for you. But let me know in the comments what it is that you enjoy doing and kind of your routine. Maybe it's nightly routine, morning routine. I'm more of a night person than a morning person, so I do a lot of my stuff at night if I can stay on it. And when I stay on it, I feel so much better. I just feel good about myself. The next day, I feel good. It's like, I read last night. Even if I read just a little bit, I exercised last night. I just feel better about me. And then I guess what? If I feel good about me, I feel good about other people. I'm just a better person to be around, honestly. And you will be too. So let me know about your routine. I'm curious to hear about your what schedule you have. I know people tell me. One lady had said, we go to bed at 8 o'clock and we're in our pajamas and watching Netflix, and that was on one of the videos I think about where all the women over 50. But anyway, I thought that's a pretty good schedule, But anyway, so let me know what your schedule is. I'm curious, and I hope you're having a great night. I appreciate y'all tuning in to Vintage Dad as always, and we'll see y'all in the next video. If you could subscribe to us, give us a thumbs up on this, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks.